How you doing? Today I want to talk about the closure of the CFPB. The CFPB is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, for those who don't know, this federal agency was created specifically to address the issues related to the recession back in 2007, 2008. As many of you may know, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their homes because of, I would just characterize it as shady mortgages, shady business dealings, violations of law around the mortgage industry in general and securities specifically. Now, all that being said, I know a lot of this because I worked for financial institutions during that time. And from the inside, I did see some activity that should not have happened, not necessarily at the place I worked at, but at other institutions that I was familiar with through discussions with regulators and the like. And so I understand why this agency was created. Now, all that again being said, the financial services industry is heavily regulated. But what it didn't have before the CFPB was an agency that was specifically focused on the consumer and specifically tasked with returning consumer funds that they lost through fraud or other means. Let me put it in qualitative and quantitative form. The budget for the CFPB is roughly $800 million. So for every $800 million since CFPB was created, it's returned approximately $1.4 billion to consumers since 2011 on average. That's a pretty good return on investment. In fact, most companies who had that type of return on investment would try to figure out, how do we keep getting that kind of return on investment? They would not shut something down that was working. But that's what's happened in our government. The CFPB is all but gone. Now there's some buildings, there's some computers, but the people have been told, in essence, to stay home. So what's the impact? There's going to be several impacts. One, people losing their jobs, having to find other jobs. But to the average consumer, let's take a scenario. You have purchased an item online, and the item you purchase you don't want. So you return it. And you return it with the expectation that whomever you brought it from is going to return your money in the same way you paid it, and you paid it electronically. So there's a regulation called Regulation E. Regulation E covers financial transactions online, over the internet, through apps, anything that's relatively technologically transferring your money, Regulation E covers. The CFPB oversaw primarily Regulation E matters. So now, back to the scenario. You purchase an item, you don't like it, you return it, expecting to get your money back that you paid to this merchant. And the merchant says, sorry, I'm not going to pay you back. Who are you going to call? The agency that was responsible to make sure that that merchant could not take advantage of you, because you could be in California and that merchant could be in Maine. How are you going to sue a merchant when you're in California and the merchant's in Maine? You can travel to Maine and file a lawsuit? I think not. So now you are left to your own devices. There will no longer be a $1 billion plus number returned to consumers every year because the CFPB is gone. The budget savings is approximately 0.01%. Not to mention that the budget for the CFPB was actually paid for through the Federal Reserve Bank. It wasn't coming directly from appropriations from Congress. There was a mechanism that was set up so that CFPB could be created through funds and other revenues already being generated by the Federal Reserve Bank. So what were we actually saving? All it means is that now the Federal Reserve Bank has an extra $800 million to do what with? Is that going to go to SpaceX now? To Tesla somehow? Follow the money, folks. There was no reason to shut down this particular agency. There were no significant savings. There were no issues with waste with this particular agency. And it was helping consumers. And now it's gone. This won't be the last calamity that we experience. We're in week 4. And there's been so much disruption, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep track of a lot of this stuff. But you should be aware that what you see in the headlines and what you read online may not be the full facts, because not everyone has the expertise to kind of dig down into the reality of the situation when someone says, I'm saving you money because it was wasteful. There was nothing being wasted for the most part at the CFPB. Could agencies run more efficiently? Of course they can. We can always improve. But this one was completely shut down overnight without any assessment, without any review. It was done on a whim. It was done by edict. And that's not how we should review these agencies. So stay vigilant. Keep your head on a swivel. It's probably going to get worse, unfortunately. Till next time, be well.